I scoured the internet to find one of the most asked questions about writing a book. And one of the most asked questions I found is, why is writing a book hard? As someone who's been helping people with book coaching for the last 4 years or so, I'm going to give you some reasons as to why it might be hard for you and how you can overcome the hard to actually get that book written. So number one, why writing a book probably feels hard to you is because you don't currently have your life set up to have a writing habit. Writing is a very intensive process, particularly if you're working on something book-sized. There's a lot of different steps to it. It takes a lot of dedication. Because of that, if you're ever going to get it done, you actually need to have a regular writing habit. And that's something that can feel very daunting to start or incorporate, particularly if you're working full-time, if you own a business, if you're a parent, if you have a life of any sort. It can be hard to add in. My best tip for starting a writing habit is to start teeny tiny small. I've actually been reading this book called Tiny Habits. I'll probably be talking about it a little bit more at the end of the month, but basically you have to start incrementally. That means if you can only get a sentence or a paragraph down a day, that's where you need to start. And that's a good place to start. You need to not beat yourself up about that, because if you can get that done, then eventually you'll be able to build the time onto it. But you have to want to incorporate it into your day somewhere. So if you don't have a writing habit, I highly recommend finding a time in your day where it would be easy to tack on writing a paragraph or a sentence. Maybe you have a morning routine where you journal or pray or meditate or do anything like that. That's where I found tacking it on for me is really helpful. But you might have something more in the middle of the day or at the end of the day, whatever works with your schedule. Find a spot where you can tack on writing a paragraph or a sentence if a paragraph is too intimidating. And then once you've done that, tell yourself you did a good job. And eventually, psychologically, you are going to want to start writing more. Reason number 2 why writing is hard is possibly because you're looking at this from a sprint mentality and not a marathon mentality. A lot of people that I know who have started books or have wanted to start books, and particularly the ones who don't end up finishing, they kind of approach writing their book as more of a sprint than they do a marathon. So they're like, I need to get this out as soon as possible, and it's going to impact so many people, and it's going to be amazing. There's a reason why a lot of people refer to books as their book babies. It's because the process for the book to mature and come to life is a process. It takes time. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There's different steps to it. So not only do you have the creation of the original rough draft, but you've got different rounds of editing. If you want to get really serious about it, you've got market testing, you've got audiences on social media to build, you have to learn about the market, all that sort of stuff. And all of that kind of stuff takes dedication and time. So you have to go into it with the knowledge of this isn't hard, but it might be long. And you have to prepare to endure the marathon in front of you instead of thinking it's all going to come into like a short burst of motivation sprint, because that is not how this creation process works. Unless you're, who was it? The author of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I heard he wrote the rough draft for that thing in like 3 days. Means it can be done, but that is not the norm. The third reason that you might have difficulty writing your book, or why you might think writing is hard, is because you might just not know enough about the process. A lot of the times, the people that I've talked to who are interested in writing a book but are having trouble getting started, they're overwhelmed by what they don't know. A very common thing I hear is, I don't even know where to start. And so the more you can educate yourself about the writing process, the more you can educate yourself about what goes into writing a book. Like, how do you create an outline? If you're writing nonfiction, how is a good way to break down the chapters? If you're writing fiction, like, how do you do world building? How do you do character building? All of that kind of stuff. The more you can educate yourself, the more prepared you will feel. And the more that you learn about these things, the more you will start to grow in your head, okay, this is the roadmap that I need to do to get my book written down. Those are the 3 reasons why writing might feel hard to you. There are definitely more, and if that's something you want to talk about more, let me know down in the comments. Also, let me know why writing feels hard to you, if it does. And if it doesn't, how have you overcome that? Because the more we can share with each other, the better we all become. If you like this content, go ahead and hit the like button. Also, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you next time. Alyssa J. Out.